The lunar eclipse in Pisces on August 27th is bringing startling revelations, and what you'll learn may cause you to make shocking, unexpected changes you never thought you'd be making, especially after all of the time and energy you've already put into the direction you thought you were headed down. So make sure you stick around and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any important astrology updates. So there are 6 main things that you need to understand about this particular lunar eclipse. The first one being that this is a North Node eclipse, but it's also an out of sign eclipse. That means the North Node is actually already transiting the sign of Aquarius. It has left Pisces in both forms of the North Node calculations. So first we had the True Node calculation, which left the sign of Pisces on July 26th, and that was followed by the Mean Node, which left the sign of Pisces on August 20th. And this transition of the nodes from one sign to another is super, super important. It really changes the direction of our fate, our destiny, the synchronistic events, the transitionary periods that are going to be happening throughout our lives for the next 18 months. I did an entire video on this topic, including a forecast for all 12 signs that I highly recommend that you watch next. But for this particular forecast, what's interesting is that the North Node moving into Aquarius is not really the central focus. The central focus is the fact that this is the final eclipse in a series of almost 2 years of eclipses that have been transiting the signs of Pisces and Virgo. This is the last call, the final chance to get the information that you need to understand something really profound about your destiny, about your soul's evolution, about the direction that you really need to be moving into, and to make those last minute changes. And for a lot of people, those changes are going to be massive because of the really intense alignments that this full moon lunar eclipse is going to be making in the sky. And so the third thing you need to understand before we get into those really fascinating alignments is the fact that partial lunar eclipses are considered to be the weakest of all of the eclipse types. I cover this in my Karmic Power of Eclipses workshop, which you can actually purchase right now for 50% off before the month ends in August, at the link down in the description below. We talk about everything you need to know to navigate not just this eclipse, but every eclipse that happens now and through the rest of your life. I'll talk about that a little bit more later, but just so you know, it's in the description. And partial lunar eclipses are not as strange and synchronous. They're not as potent. You might not get as many messages. You might not get as many downloads. You might not get a lot of that same sensation of things being weirdly coincidental or that things are supposed to be moving in this direction. You might not get that catapulting forward that you normally would get. However, because of the alignments that are involved with this eclipse, which are so, so potent, and because of the fact that this is the final chance to learn those North Node in Pisces, those eclipse in Pisces lessons, this is actually going to be a very powerful eclipse. I actually feel like a lot of people are going to be shaken up by this. And so that leads us into the last 3, and by far the most important things that you need to understand about this partial lunar eclipse in Pisces. The first one being that it's occurring on the same day as a Mercury Cazimi. Now, what the heck is a Mercury Cazimi? A Cazimi refers to a very powerful alignment where one of the traditional planets, so Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, or Saturn, comes into an exact, very potent alignment with the sun. It's considered to be at the heart or the throne of the sun, of that solar influence. And when it's sitting there, the influence of that planet, its natural significations, become more potent, more powerful, and more positive as a result, because the sun is amplifying that energy in a big way. It's like you have the favor of the king, you have the ear of the king, you have the king's blessing to do what you want. And in this particular circumstance, Mercury is at the heart of the sun. Mercury is in the sign of Virgo, which is the sign of its home and its exaltation in traditional astrology. That means Mercury thrives already in Virgo. It gives you the details, it gives you the precise information, it gives you the level of discernment that you truly need to understand where you're headed at the time of this eclipse. And when it's amplified on top of that by a Cazimi, this is one of the best Mercury Cazimis you can have, because we have an elevated Mercury already doing its thing, already really powerful in its ability to bring knowledge, understanding, really thorough and effective and productive communication. And then you add this amplification of the energy. This is a revelatory moment. Usually with these superior conjunctions of Mercury and the Sun, when Mercury is moving direct, you're going to get a message from the outside. It's like outside information is coming in. Somebody's going to say something to you. You're going to hear something. You're going to learn something. You're going to read something. But sometimes it can still come from within. And so pay attention to those big ideas, those big aha moments that come for you on the day of the eclipse, because that is leading you somewhere. There is a massive revelation of information that you have needed desperately for quite some time. And this is in an exact opposition to the eclipse moon, because a lunar eclipse is always a full moon. It only occurs when the moon is in opposition to the sun. And so that means that this Mercury Cazimi energy is sort of a segue into the eclipse. It's not part of the eclipse necessarily, because the Cazimi period really ends around 5:30 Mountain Daylight Time. You'll have to adjust that for your time zone. But the actual eclipse occurs at 10:18 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. So there's about a 4-hour and 45-minute gap in between the end of the Cazimi period and the beginning of the totality of the eclipse. However, that does not mean that this is not going to be part of the eclipse energy. It's kind of like, as the eclipse is building, we are getting the information that we need, and that information might cause us to make a dramatic change. Why would that be? Well, because Uranus is sitting at 5 degrees in the sign of Gemini, in a very close T-square with the eclipse, with the sun and moon, and with this Mercury Cazimi. This Mercury Cazimi is about getting shocking, sudden, intense revelations of information that you never would have thought to be valuable or true. It's going to cause you to think about things in such a weird, bizarre, different perspective that you never would have thought of on your own, that could come in from the outside, or that you never would have entertained otherwise. It's going to bring information that is so unusual or so different from the way that you thought things were, that it's going to force you to change on a dime. It's going to force you to switch your path. And that's a big part of what this eclipse energy with the full moon is going to be revealing to us, because full moons are always revelatory. And even when there's an eclipse involved, which does show that there's something hidden that we're not quite seeing, a piece of the puzzle that even during the Cazimi of Mercury, we still don't fully have. There's still this energy here of, we are getting clarity. We have to change this, oh my gosh, right now. And this is the last chance, because it's the last time that we're going to have an eclipse in Pisces for about, 8.5, 9 years. And this is the last time we'll have a North Node eclipse in Pisces for about 18.5 years. And so this is a big moment in time. Now, the sixth and final thing that you need to understand about this partial lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces on August 27th is that the eclipse moon is in a very precise conjunction with the fixed star Fomalhaut. And so something that I've really been getting into these past really few years on and off, but especially the past few months, because of personal experiences that I've had with fixed star activations in my own chart that were absolutely fascinating. I'll have to deliver some of the research and some of the experiences I've had with that to you guys at a different time, when it's not a digression from this video. But I've been getting into these fixed star energies because they tend to be very powerful predictors of major life events and major experiences and big themes for a person. And they also hold a lot of weight in medical astrology. A lot of the fixed stars have associations with different health concerns. And so it's something that, as a medical astrologer, I find fascinating. But when they show up really predominantly like this, like with a conjunction to an eclipse moon, that tends to be really powerful. And so what the heck is Fomalhaut? So Fomalhaut is one of the 4 royal fixed stars. It's also considered to be one of the 4 stars that's associated with different seasonal markers. And so this is the winter star when it comes to those 4 royal stars. Now, you might sometimes hear it pronounced Fomalhaut. I'm pronouncing it Fomalhaut because I asked one of the AI robots to help me figure out the correct pronunciation, and that's the one that seemed to be its preference. But I've definitely heard it pronounced both ways, which is why I double checked. And so some astrologers sometimes shy away from the fixed stars because a lot of them have these very dire, fatalistic, very negative associations because they're rooted in these traditional teachings. And those associations, unfortunately, can be very, very accurate. But this particular fixed star is considered to be a powerful and fortunate alignment. It's a fortunate fixed star that brings mostly good things. It does have its negative qualities, especially when it's aligned with malefic planets. But for the most part, the association with Fomalhaut is that it can make someone famous. It brings spiritual leaders, artists, and people of great intelligence. It signifies new ideas that are creative, but also that further science and the arts and spirituality in some way. And a conjunction between Fomalhaut and either of the luminaries makes this influence especially potent and pronounced. Now with the moon, however, there are some drawbacks with Fomalhaut, especially in a birth chart, but I would say that this could play out on a more global scale with maybe potentially somebody who is in a position of power, a spiritual leader, someone who's an artist who has a lot of influence, or a big thinker who has created a lot of innovation, where something is going to be revealed to them or about them that changes something really big. And that change could be positive. It could be that they have some sort of new inspiration and they, carry something out, but it could also be that something is exposed and revealed about them that really changes our mindset about that person. And in our personal lives, there could be some sort of teaching, some sort of spiritual connection, some sort of powerful influence in our lives that we all of a sudden have this great revelation about, and it really changes the way we think about things in a huge and irreversible way. Now, kind of the downsides of Fomalhaut, especially with the moon, is that it can make a person potentially too trusting. And so it could be revealed to us that we have put our trust in the wrong person, or some sort of secret could come out, especially because there's an eclipse involved. However, I do believe that even though this is a disruptive influence, it's going to disrupt us ultimately for the better. In the moment, I do believe that this eclipse is going to feel very disorienting and very turbulent and disruptive. It's going to be a shock and awe moment for a lot of people. And it's mostly going to be that something that's going on is sort of blowing our minds, because we have Uranus in the sign of Gemini. We have Mercury, Cazimi, involved in an opposition to this very intense eclipse energy. And then we have the Fomalhaut connection, which is associated with intelligence and spiritual and artistic and scientific innovation. And so I really think we're going to be getting some unusual downloads, some unusual information. But I don't think this is something that we need to fear. I think this is something that we need to embrace. We need to embrace the chaos, embrace the change, embrace these new innovations, embrace the new ideas in order to really propel ourselves forward into the correct timeline, the correct direction that we were meant to head into all along, but we've been really doubling down on something else. And so that is my message to you for this eclipse. And before we get into the forecast for all 12 signs, I just want to ask you all to comment below and let me know how your eclipse season has been going so far and what's being revealed to you right now. I love, love, love to read about the astrology in action. I do read all of your comments, even though I can't respond to all of them. That would be insane because there's just so many, which I'm grateful for. And definitely make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss an important astrology update. I post a new tutorial, video, or forecast almost every single Saturday at 9 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time, so you don't want to miss that. Like the video and share this with a friend who you feel like could benefit from the information I'm sharing with you today. Also, I do want to mention very briefly once again that my Karmic Power of Eclipses workshop, which will take you through everything you need to understand about eclipses in the birth chart, your pre- and postnatal eclipse, which is something that we all have, and the transiting eclipses and how they impact you differently between different eclipse seasons and different eclipse alignments, and why some eclipses show up and nothing happens, and then a few days, weeks, or months down the line, you have this major turning point, this major transitional moment because of an eclipse activation that you might not be aware of. So you're going to learn about all of that. Again, 50% off, only $29, super affordable, down at the link in the description below, because I want you to be able to utilize this eclipse energy to navigate this season with confidence. All right, so let's get into the forecast for all 12 signs, beginning of course with Aries and Aries rising. For Aries and for Aries rising, you might receive a very shocking, unexpected, and important message about your health, about your work, about your day-to-day habits and routines, or that comes through your day-to-day habits and routines. You might get a revelatory message through a coworker or an employee or a service worker of some kind, somebody that maybe you've hired to mow your lawn or cut your hair or whatever it is, that this information comes through in a way that completely shatters your old mindset about something. Now, it could be, especially if this is something that's revelatory about your health, that it causes you to decide to turn inward. It causes you to take some time for rest and for reprieve. You could also get some very important messages around this time and during the night of the eclipse through your dreams, or while you're in that state between sleeping and waking, while you're in that almost dream state. This is a really important time for meditation. This is also a time where a message could come through that could reveal something that could inspire you to take a different direction with your spirituality and spiritual practices, or it could cause you to seek out a new spiritual teacher or somebody who has information that's different from your own, that's really important to your life's trajectory, to the next phase in your development. There's definitely something here though that could come in and change something for the better when it comes to your health, but it might come about in a very shocking and unexpected way. There could also be a message that comes through that causes you to have to pivot something very quickly so you can show up in service of somebody who needs your assistance, potentially somebody who is sick or, just unwell in some way, or they just aren't able to do the things that they need to do, and so you're showing up and you're helping. There could be very important revelatory information that comes through involving your work that could cause you to change things, again, to shift potentially to create more time for rest. There could also be something really important revealed to you about a pet or an animal in your life, or a new pet or a new animal coming into your life as well. For Taurus and for Taurus rising, this full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces is going to be impacting you in your 5th and 11th houses, in whole sign houses, of course. And the build up to this eclipse is all about getting really important revelations about your passions, about your creativity, about the things that you came here to actively put into the world through your creative self-expression. This could be important information about something that you love or someone that you love, especially if you're somebody who has children or is involved with children in some way. This could be really important information involving specifically children, or an important message from your children, or an important insight that comes through that changes the way that you think about your relationship with your children or your children as a whole. There's definitely a need here to put yourself out there around the time of this eclipse. There's a balance that needs to be struck between focusing on your own desires and creativity and the things that you love, and focusing on the group, focusing on your social connections. And there could definitely be something that's really important that's revealed that involves your social connections, that involves your friends, your social networks, your allies, the people that support you in your life. Or there could be a new connection that comes in with somebody who is maybe in some sort of position of power, somebody who brings luck and good fortune into your life through their very existence, because they have the right connections, because they have the right ideas, because they have almost a good sense of spiritual leadership where they lead by example. They lead really naturally. There's also definitely information coming in or a message coming in that causes you to change something involving your finances. You could suddenly have to spend money, or a new bill comes through or something like that, where it's like, oh, I wanted to use this money for, my children's future. I wanted to use this money for this thing that I am really excited about, this passion of mine. But I'm realizing now that this money needs to go elsewhere. That could be a big part of the eclipse for Taurus as well. For Gemini and for Gemini rising, this full moon partial lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces is all about your work-life balance. There is a big revelation coming straight to you about your home, your family, your property, your place of living, or that could come through your family members. There's something here that the truth is being revealed, and it's going to cause you to shift something really abruptly. It's going to cause you to change who you are in the way that you're showing up in the world. It's going to cause you to potentially change your place of living or something about your place of living. It's going to cause you to change the way that you think and feel about certain family dynamics and relationships. And this is going to create a foundation for changing something really important when it comes to your work. This could also be the culmination of something that you've been building toward when it comes to a new direction that you've been heading into with your work that feels fated, that feels exciting, that you feel this like insatiable urge to just dive all in, an ambition that you've never really felt before. And all of a sudden, there's something revealed to you that causes you to shift and change gears. Like you thought you were solid in this direction now. You've been moving in this direction and kind of dealing with the turbulence for quite some time. All of a sudden, a message comes through and you have to change it really abruptly. And that message could come through a superior, somebody in a position of power and authority, like a benevolent authority figure, not necessarily somebody that's coming in and doing something malicious, but there's something that's revealed to you. And it's causing you to have to change something. It could even be for a lot of you that like all of your hard work is paying off. You thought you were going to go on this one direction, and then all of a sudden you get this promotion. It completely changes your entire reality, shifts all of your plans, and maybe you're moving as a result of that. And so Gemini, just expect the unexpected when it comes to those work-life situations. For Cancer and for Cancer rising, this full moon partial lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces is happening in your 9th and 3rd houses. This is a time where unexpected travel plans could come in. This is also a big moment for you where your belief system is going to be shifting really abruptly. It's like all of a sudden new information is revealed to you through communication, through your day-to-day messages, your day-to-day reading, watching, a video on YouTube, listening to a podcast, reading the newspaper if that's something that you still do. There's something here where there's information that you were not able to discern prior to this moment. You thought you knew the way things were, and all of a sudden it changes. And that could be a communication with somebody in your environment. That could be a communication with a sibling, an extended family member, a friend, somebody in your community. Like it could very literally be that you get a text message or a phone call and it changes everything. This is also a time where your belief systems, like your broader scale belief systems, are going to be shifting really abruptly, and that could be very disruptive. It could feel unsettling, but it's for the better because now you have clarity. Now you actually know where this is going, and that's going to benefit you in a big way moving forward, which I love. And this is going to be a big change in your spiritual and religious belief systems. So it's like this smaller information, this more rational, logical information that comes through in this way that really elevates your discernment. Like you are understanding something in a way that is so clear all of a sudden. This is causing you to change your entire worldview. And also it could cause a big shift in the way that you practice your spirituality, or the way that you understand this reality, or the way that you connect with religion. There could also be a message that comes through that allows you to travel somewhere, and like on a dime, you're like planning a trip and you're packing your bags, and that could be really exciting. This could be like a spiritual pilgrimage for a lot of people that comes up really suddenly. That would be an interesting one as well. And then for Leo and for Leo rising, this full moon partial lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces is occurring in your financial houses. This is big insight, big revelations about your money, about your possessions, about your savings, about money that could be coming in all of a sudden from an outside source that rattles reveals something or changes something. It changes your direction in some way. It's kind of like you have a message that comes through about your finances, and it gives you a level of discernment that you didn't otherwise have, and it causes you to make different plans or budget differently or do something differently with your finances, or maybe you have to spend money all of a sudden, but that ends up being a good thing. It's like you weren't expecting this news when it comes to your money. And the result of this is going to be this sort of culmination where I think more money is going to be coming in, but it's coming in through this disruption. This could also be a revelation that you need to deal with your financial situation in a very outside of the box, very unusual way that's just not typical. It's going to be like so outside of your normal wheelhouse and so outside of normal financial advice that you're going to be like, should I do this? And the answer looks like yes. I'm not a financial advisor, but when it comes to the astrology, you need to make a big, dramatic, weird change. And it's going to be very clear to you. Like, this is what I need to do with my money moving forward in order to create the life that I want to create for myself. This could also be a culmination of something that's been building with like savings or investments or debt that maybe you need to pay off. And maybe that's the message that comes through, or your partner's resources. For Virgo and for Virgo rising, I love this eclipse for Virgo and Virgo rising people because we have your ruling planet Mercury in its home sign, in its exaltation, elevated at the seat of the sun. This is signifying you being elevated in some way. Your discernment is on point. Your messaging is on point. Your communication is on point. Your mind is so clear. And Virgos, we're always right, you know? But right now, really, you're right. Like, whatever it is that's coming into your brain, this is you bringing about the important message. This is you bringing about the discernment. This is you sharing information that's very clear and very important and very revelatory that somebody else needs in order to make the change that they need to make. And that person could be a partner, a significant other, somebody very close to you in your life, because the eclipse is actually in the 7th house. So it's kind of like you have this revelation, you share it. There's important communication. There's important information that you need to share, Virgo. It's going to disrupt the life of somebody that you care about or disrupt the lives of people that you care about. It could also be disruptive to your public reputation, your public image, the work that you're doing out in the world. There could be this revelation or this communication about, hey, I need to change my career path. And then your partner's like, what the heck? That could be part of it too. But it looks more to me like there's something you need to share with someone and it changes their life. And you thought and they thought that things were going to go a certain way because it's been going a certain way this whole time. And all of a sudden, things need to change. That's going to create much more power, much more good fortune. It's going to cause them to move forward from a better place of understanding, a better place of true wisdom and true understanding and spiritual understanding as well. And so I love this for speaking your mind. For Libra and for Libra rising, this full moon partial lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces is happening in your 6th house and your 12th house. So there's something that you're going to be getting a revelation about. It's like there's a secret. There's a deeply held secret. And it could be a secret that somebody else is sharing with you, and it changes your beliefs about everything. It could also be a secret that you've been holding on to, and you decide that it's finally time to share. It's finally time to put it out there, maybe in a larger way, because you feel like this information is going to teach somebody something. This is you wanting to share your discernment, share your wisdom, share your insight, share your clarity with other people. Or again, it could be that you have information that comes to you. And I think that this is probably more likely, where it's a secret that's revealed and it brings you such intense clarity. It could also be that information comes to you through a download, through meditation, through altered states of consciousness, which include dreams, which include that sleep-wake state, which include, things that people do with psychedelics and whatnot. There's something going on here where the discernment doesn't come through normal action, it comes through inaction, and it comes through exploring those unconscious realms. But again, it could also be coming from like someone else, like there's a secret. This is going to also be a big shift in the way that you're dealing with your day-to-day reality. It could be a big shift or a revelation that changes the way that you're dealing with your health, with the way that you're dealing with your work, with your employees. There's definitely something here that could be revelatory, that could shift It's almost like it has to shift your day-to-day experience in your work to align better with this new massive change in your overall belief system that has absolutely been shattered by this revelation. It's kind of like the way that you frame your reality. This needs to change. And that is going to lead you to change something really big as everything's being revealed to you in your work. And I think it's going to make it more meaningful. And for Libra, we also can't ignore the fact that this could be a change or disruption or something that's being revealed to you involving your pets or your animals. And that could be a big thing too. For Scorpio rising, this full moon partial lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces is happening in your 5th and 11th houses. Your friends are going to be the source of the discernment, of the revelatory information, of the messages that you need to hear and understand. So that way you can align yourself more truly and fully with your passions, with what you came here to do and accomplish and experience in this lifetime, with your hobbies and interests, with the things that you want to create and put out into the world because it feels good to you, because it brings you joy. This is all about your creative self-expression. Or for some of you, it could be about procreation. And there's information that's revealed to you that changes something or reveals something to you about your situation involving your children or involving potentially trying to have children or something along those lines. There's a shift here also potentially in your children's friend group. It's like something is revealed to them, or there's a message that comes through to you even, and it reveals something about their social situation, and that could cause you to want to change something, or that could cause you to like force them to change something potentially. It's kind of hard to say. Like there's a shift going on with your children if you have any, potentially in their relationships. And then for Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising, this full moon partial lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces is happening in your 4th house, which is the house of home, family, property, and real estate. But prior to the actual climax of the eclipse, you are going to be having the Mercury Cazimi in your 10th house, which is the house of career and public reputation. Something massive is being revealed to you on or around the 27th of August that is going to bring you such discernment, such clarity around what it is that you need to be doing with your work and your work-life balance and your home and work-life balance. It could involve changing something or disrupting something in a current partnership, especially a work-related partnership or a family relationship. But there's something here where you get complete clarity. Somebody in a position of power and authority, like a boss or an authority figure, might actually deliver a message that changes everything and disrupts things, especially in your relationships, in order to create the life that you want to create, in order to create the career path that you want to create. You get it's like all of a sudden you are crystal clear about what it is that you need to be doing out there in the world and how you create that balance between your life out in the world and what you want back at home. This could also be a big revelation involving your career and involving your home and living situation that changes your home or living situation. Like you thought you were going down one path with all of this, but something is revealed to you. And it's the culmination of something that's been building for quite some time where you really thought it was leading in a certain direction. And then all of a sudden it leads you in the completely opposite, like crazy direction that you never could have thought of, where all of a sudden you're moving somewhere crazy, or you realize that you need to live somewhere very different than what you thought, or you realize that your career path was not exactly aligned, and now you have the clarity and now you have the plans to see it through and move forward in the right way. And even if you're not working, this could still be a message from somebody in a position of authority or about the legacy that you need to leave behind after your working years or beyond just, a paid career. It's more about the impact that you want to make, and it just becomes crystal clear. Like you are somebody who wants to show up in service in a very specific way, and this is going to align you with that service. For Capricorn and Capricorn rising, this full moon partial lunar eclipse that's happening on the 27th in Pisces is occurring in your 3rd and 9th houses. This is a massive disruption to your mindset about something. You are going to be having such clarity, such revelatory information coming to you, probably through a teacher or some really important teachings. This is going to change your worldview in a massive way. It's like you've been needing this information. You've been needing this mental breakthrough. You've been needing this new mindset in order to move forward in the direction that you are meant to move forward in this lifetime. This is the last hurdle that was holding you back from actually embracing the future that you need to create. This could also be very disruptive to your day-to-day routines and day-to-day life and day-to-day experiences, because once you learn what you're learning, you cannot unlearn it. You can't forget about it. And so it's going to change the way that you're going about your day-to-day life. It's going to change your day-to-day communications and your day-to-day self-talk. There's definitely messages that could be coming through that could be literally like omens and signs and synchronicities and things that are coming through in ways that are mundane yet significant. There could also be a new spiritual teacher that comes into your life, or somebody who is in a position of authority in your community that sheds light on something that you've been needing to understand. This is also potentially travel plans either getting disrupted for you, or new travel plans coming into the mix that disrupt your day-to-day experience, that disrupt your work, that disrupt your life in some way. It could even be like a bit of a pilgrimage for you, where this is a significant travel event, where this is something that you didn't expect to be doing, but now you are, and it's really going to be shifting your mind and just completely changing the way that you view reality and the way that you move through the world. There's something really important that you're learning here. For Aquarius and Aquarius rising, this full moon partial lunar eclipse on the 27th of August is happening in your financial houses. So there could be big information being revealed that is going to impact your finances. It's going to disrupt your finances because it's going to change the way that you're dealing with money. It's going to change the way that you're dealing with spending and saving. It's going to change your financial plans moving forward in a big way. It could be that there's a big purchase that you need to make. It could be that you wanted to do something that was fun and spontaneous and different, but instead you're kind of going in a different direction because the energy is disruptive. Or it could be that you're going in a different direction because you're going to spend money on something that's like fun and spontaneous and that you're really passionate about and that you really feel joy around. That could be a big part of it too. I would say that important information is being revealed that's going to change something about the way that you're dealing with finances, though that's pretty clear. Also, there could be the culmination of something that you've been building toward when it comes to your finances. So you could have been saving money for an important purchase, and that purchase is not going the way that you thought it would be, or you change your mind about it because of this new clarity that you're getting. There could also be big changes or big clarity around your partner's finances. That could be a big part of this as well. Also, there could be clarity around old fears, anxieties, wounds, insecurities, especially fears that are related to past experiences that are no longer relevant in the present moment, that have been holding you to a certain standard of living and a certain way of going about and moving about the world, financial or otherwise. And so that's going to change and shift something for you, where you're going to, I think, as a result of this, it's going to be unsettling, but you're going to feel more safety moving forward after your nervous system settles. And then finally, for Pisces and for Pisces rising, this full moon lunar eclipse is about you because it's in Pisces. And so the spotlight is on you, very literally, because it is a full moon. So there's something that's culminating that you've been working toward for quite some time, where when it actually comes to fruition, when it actually culminates, it's not what you expected it to be, or something is revealed to you through a partnership, through a one-to-one connection, through your spouse or significant other even, that causes you to change the way that you are moving about the world. It causes you to change direction in some way. It's kind of like this new information comes to you through another person. Like for you, the messages with this Mercury Cazimi, they're definitely coming from an outside source. They're coming from usually somebody close to you. And it's so disruptive to your current paradigm and who you thought you were and the new trajectory that you thought you were embarking on, because you've been building toward it for a couple of years now, that you're changing course. And it doesn't mean that everything that you've been building toward is being thrown away. It just means that this is the last chance to get on the right path. And that path is a little bit sideways from the one that you thought you were moving toward. It's still going to get you potentially to the same destination, but you really have to go about it in a different way. Or maybe you're completely changing the destination. That could be a big part of it too. Definitely, I would say there could be disruption in the home or disruption to your living situation as a result of what's being revealed to you. That could be a big part of it too. Or the disruption could be coming from your home or your family connections or a family relationship. And that's going to shift your trajectory moving forward. Like, this is something that is fated, that's meant to happen. It's part of your destiny. You're going to feel that, but it's going to feel like, oh my gosh, I just got this clarity. I can't believe I didn't understand this or see this. And now I have to change this at the last possible minute. So be prepared for that. I do think it's going to be very positive. This is also an energy too with Fomalhaut that could bring luck, good fortune, recognition to you, especially if you have your ascendant near the first few degrees in the sign of Pisces. It's just that it's like a disruptive thing that gets you there. So you still have to make the change. You still have to go through the discomfort, but the end result, I think, will ultimately be positive. That is my forecast for all 12 signs. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, you're probably going to also like this one that's floating around somewhere up here, which is the forecast for the lunar nodes changing signs. Definitely don't skip out on that. If you enjoyed this video, like it, share this with your friends if you feel like they could benefit from the information I share with you today. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an important astrology update, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you, everyone. Bye.